Good afternoon, Vincent, and welcome to Design Dialogues hosted by Fublis. This is your host, Bhavya, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Vincent Choi of Rptecture Architecture in Australia. Just to give a brief introduction about your studio, Rptecture Architects is a design-driven firm with over 25 years of experience, founded by Vincent Choi in 2004, specializing in retail, residential, commercial, and hospitality projects across Melbourne and Australia. The firm creates innovative, context driven designs that prioritize both functionality and aesthetics. Led by Vincent, who brings international expertise to the studio, offers a full range of services from concept development to project management, delivering visually stunning and practical spaces tailored to clients' needs. So, thank you so much for joining us today, Vincent.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's such an honor, how you find us from somewhere around the other part of the globe to come in. Thank you.
Our pleasure, totally our pleasure. So, before starting the questions, I would like to inform you that this interview will be published on the website of Fublis. So, sign up to the Fublis website and you'll get the access to watch this interview. So, shall we proceed with the questions, Vincent?
Yes, please take it away.
So, your studio emphasizes on treating each project in a contextual and a holistic manner while embracing the individuality and the respect. So, could you elaborate on how this philosophy influences your design process across various project typologies such as residential, retail, and industrial spaces?
Yeah, it is a very, very good question because being a designer, we often strike with so many different criteria and requirements, from clients' design brief to all the local regulation. In the context, our studio is located at Melbourne, Australia. So with the context of where we are in this part of the world, we have time planning process that outlines all the regulations, what you can do. And obviously, we have something called NCC, is a building regulations that we have to comply. So I take one of the most well-known projects called Wurara House. It is a farmhouse project. So tell you quickly something about the context of these customers. It is a migrant from overseas, and he has a dream to buy a location for his forever home. And he has a profile that he's an international entrepreneur. He fly a plane. He owned flight training schools. He played golf. He loved wine. So he has a lot of expectations in terms of what he wants for his house. And at the same time, this is at a place where this at the Melbourne fringe, a city fringe of Melbourne, where there is a farmland, and this is a lot of this is quite stringent town planning controls where you cannot build high rises or high densities. So it's only a single house. So the context of the location of this place is that you are limited to farmhouse typologies. So in the context of Australia, there is a traditional styles called homestead design. Homestead styles in Australia, which is very traditional. And the customer bought this, have the ideas that want to change it, and they brought us in to have inject new ideas and new concepts. So we have to balance between the traditional homestead design and his expectations. At the same time, how this property can sit well with the context of this farmland where overlooking there's quite a well-known place called Yarra Valley that's famous for producing wine, in Victoria. So we came out with this modern ideas of farmhouse, a bun house concept, and bun house concept that sit well with this farmhouse typologies after a lot of design research. So that's probably one of the really successful examples how we balance between the traditional projects typologies and fit into the local context and with the philosophies of how we as architecture, philosophy of the holistic and contextual manners that this project is probably the best projects that illustrate that concept. As for retail in industrial, unfortunately, there's totally different things altogether. So I won't have those examples for you. But whoever house, check out the website, and the result is stunning. And we're so fortunate that we won 2 international design award for these projects.
So if we talk about the Shufuku's design project, that design incorporates elements of traditional Japanese culture while maintaining a modern dynamic aesthetic. So how did you approach balancing heritage influence with the contemporary branding to create a cohesive spatial experience in that project?
Yeah. Okay. This is another one of our favorite design projects in this office. This project landed us a design award, uh, 2017 in Paris, which is our first international design award. So these customers are Indonesian customers that brought in this concept of traditional Japanese cuisines as a type of fast food Japanese cuisines. Want to bring it into Lygon Street, which is very famous for food in the city of Melbourne. So where the heritage come in is that the context of the location is full of a lot of old traditional heritage shop houses, which is quite famous probably in Singapore, Hong Kong, a lot of colonial places, New Zealand, Australia too. And we're fortunate enough that the heritage control wasn't affected interior. So that's where we can inject some new concepts, for the retail. So this customer walk in, with these ideas to do, as I mentioned, the Japanese cuisine. They call it sukufuku. The name, the meaning of sukufuku is a welcoming, and they have this branding. If you look at the design, they call it. There's a name for it, or searching for it just now. It's a bit of lucky cat. Have you seen the Japanese? I tried to find the name just now. Find the name, but I couldn't find it now. You can see it everywhere in Japanese. In fact, it affects a lot in Southeast Asia that it bring in luck and wealth. The hand, some of the model of the cats, have the hand swinging like this. So they have that image of the cat abstracted into a geometrical form. And then they have the branding design by a graphic designer, which I think is fantastic. And we took on that crew and concept of that cat, and we place it inside the shop. And we want a larger than size concept, the brand logo. When you walk in the shop, as you can probably see from some of the photos, we have a mirror because we have the cats at almost like full ceiling height. And what we did was we only do half of the cat in a steel frame, and then we butt against a mirror. So when you walk in, you have the visual illusion that is a huge cat that's greeting you. However, instead of one hand raised up, you see 2 hands raised up. So yeah, that's the only thing. And once you walk in, we have that the ideas of geometric languages has been expressed throughout the whole shop, including the ceiling. It is all in 3-dimensional. So it's not flat. The shop fitters had really hard time to create that. And then we've managed to source some of the nice pendant lights with the geometric shapes, tiles as well. Even the chairs is all matching. And interesting enough, after we post the photos on the internet, we even received emails asking us where to find those chairs. It's quite interesting, from people from other countries. And one interesting design that we have was we created a bench seating, folding tables that hanging with 4 ropes from the 4 corners of the tables that hanging from the ceilings. I think that is a huge feature inside a tiny shops. And that photos probably landed us a big design awards from overseas. And the rest of the background and context, we get an artist to hand it's a painstakingly hand painted the floor and the wall with all the strokes randomly. So it came out amazing. The effects came out amazing. So we're pretty happy with the results. Yes, that was the project Sukufuku.
So I've seen the pictures of the projects and it definitely looks amazing and mesmerizing. I really wish I could visit that place. It's so good.
Next time you come to Melbourne, I will bring you around.
Of course, perfect, definitely. So, talking about the Shufuku branding project, the geometric nature of the branding is reflected in various design elements from wall tiles to the facade ceilings. So, can you share insights into how you translated a two-dimensional brand identity into a three-dimensional architecture experience for the visitors?
Yeah. And I'll find the words about the cat. It's called Maneki Nico. The spelling is Maneki Neko. Now back to answering your questions. So if you look at Shukafuku, the brandings, as I mentioned, that they have the geometric shapes of that cat. And that gave us, as I mentioned previously, that gave us a lot of clues, how we can brand it. We use the graphic design, the branding, consistently bring it into the interior of the shops. So we came out the ideas that, with that geometric shape instead of two-dimensional, how can we get it as a three-dimensional? So we did a lot of computer image studies. There's a program called Grasshopper. I'm not sure whether some of the people use it, So it's a fantastic program that how you can try to use two-dimensional 3D geometric shapes, turn it into three-dimensional. So we did a lot of interior studies in terms of how we can create three-dimensional ceiling, dropping the ceiling and protrude it out, and we set it in to create a bit of like cave effect. Imagine with the cats like to stay in their place with the cave. Cats like to look for places to hide in the cave shapes. That I think the three-dimensional effects of the ceilings and with the cats, all I think syncs together. And that is that's the way how we put these two elements together and create, quite interesting. I think it's fairly interesting projects.
Talking about the 25 years of experience, how has your studio's design approach evolved, particularly in integrating innovative solutions while maintaining the firm's core values?
I think it's an excellent question. I think a lot of people heard about AIs, how AI can be applied in the designs. Some designer, I think, may resist. I think I have a two school of thoughts. Some people will say, oh, no, AI, that's not personal, that's not good. But I think we are a company that we embrace innovation. We are the company that embrace change. We started to have one project called Kukumbo. It is a Japanese ramen shop from Japan. They specialize in really hot and spicy noodles. I think they're the only brand from Japan. And we have that brand style guidelines, but we put the design ideas into an AI software and gave us it generate a few, I think literally a lot of options for us to brainstorm. It'd be like ChatGPT, but it gives you the ideas of the design interior with different options and you can change it. I think that's how we can see the power of AI. We are testing it as well. So we are definitely very green in the AI's AI area, but we want to see how AIs can actually impact and help us in terms of the design process. Definitely, there's still, I think, far from a full automation just by speaking to the computer and come up with design. I think it's still a fantasy, long way away from that result. But definitely AI is a tool to help us in terms of design. When it's come to the traditional, so I can be really proud to share that we still use hand-drawn concepts, which probably is quite rare nowadays. Because I think a lot of design office, I'm sure probably you see a lot of nice rendering, which we do as well. But I'll show you something quickly. It's right behind it. We still probably create a lot of hand sketch.
It just took me to our architecture school in first year when we used to do this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll just show you. We still follow, have a lot of traditional way of
Yeah.
probably create design with a hand sketch. I'm gonna show you one thing. Show you one more is that we designed this house. I hand sketched this concept.
Amazing. It's
And
so
what I
cool.
do, sorry, just one moment. What I do is I printed in a gold foil. When the project's finished, I printed this and I printed this and I gave it to my customer to show them from my concept to the final products. And they hang that my hand sketch painting in their new house. So they love it. They love the outcome from the day one they walk into my office and talk about their dream. And after over 2 years, they walk into a physical house being built. The kind of excitement, you imagine, it's amazing.
Also, Vincent, I really must. I know there are six more questions left to this interview, but I really want to mention that I see passion in your eyes towards architecture. It's very rare that you get to see in multiple, because I have taken around more than 50 interviews and I rarely see that passion in terms of eyes of architects. Like they're really passionate even after working for consecutive 25 years. You still love doing
Wow.
architecture. I can see that in your eyes and it's really inspiring. I must mention that. Amazing.
That's good. I love to share, but I wish, this program can impact the industries
Of
and
course.
bring a lot more impact, to a lot of new designers, how I think I'm sitting at the generations where a lot of old traditions and meeting the new AI technologies. So how
Yes.
can we balance between these two? We use them, we embrace both of them together.
Yeah, amazing. I really love talking to Vincent. I'm really excited for this interview to come out. Seriously speaking, one of my favorite interview that I've taken so far.
Thank you.
So talking about another project, the Sushi Hub Swanson, that aims to reinterpret the traditional Japanese architecture in a modern context. So how did you balance the essence of traditional sushi culture with contemporary design elements to create a very authentic yet innovative dining experience for the people?
Yeah, I love the brand Sushi Hub. For those people from Australia, probably heard about Sushi Hub. They have really great story to tell. When they first came to see us probably 10 years ago, they started with 5 shops only, really ordinary from Sydney in Australia. So they came to us, they see the potential of what they have done and they want to bring their business to the next level. So we like to, when customer come to see us, we really want to understand what is the brand about. We have to look deep into the business visions and their business model. What is the market? I'll just give you a bit of context of sushi business in Australia. There's a lot of brands, very popular in Australia. From other competitors that have 100 stores to a lot smaller individual operators. There's so many, it's really a lot because in Australia, sushi is a very popular cuisine from fine dining to fast food, it's very popular. So it is quite a challenge, when you have to create a brand for a sushi business that has been a pretty competitive market in Australia. So what we do is we work very closely with a brand designer as a graphic designer. They create the brand logo. Now we are a designer that we like integrations. We don't want to see the brand present in one form and shapes and interior is going opposite direction or totally irrelevant. We see that a close collaborations between the customers, the graphic designer, and us in terms of the interior. So this project is purely interior work. And the logo, we have to give credit to the brand design of the logo called Principal Design. So Sash is a really talented graphic designer. He created that using the fish bones concept to create the sushi hub. You can look at the photos of the shops. So we like to start the train of thought from the logo where the sushi fish. Sushi is all about salmon fish. So we see that the salmon bones and the freshness of the fish because it's all the raw fish. And we want to bring in that kind of concept into the interior. And also, for a lot of people who eat sushi, that you have the wooden chopsticks and then the fish shaped, soy sauce. That, there's a lot of typical sushi elements, right? And then we want to use that as the heroes in the shop. How to do it? If you look at the photos, we came out with that sushi fish, salmon fish. that is literally, it's like as if it's a swimming at the ceiling, expressed in the ceiling. And we use a double timbers to have a few meanings, signify a few meanings. One is the chopsticks meanings. The other one is the fish bones meaning. And then you can see that we use the grasshopper actually to create a three-dimensional fish, like literally swinging around, the ceiling, huge, massive. And I can tell you a bit of story behind this during the construction. A designer can draw anything, everything. You can dream anything, everything. But it's about how to build this on site. It's a nightmare. I can tell you, the shop fitters try to hang, number one, to manufacture the ceiling fish timber bones. They're all different lengths, and they all have to put it in different angles to create that dynamic look. It's not easy. And then they have to hang one by one, and then they have a look at it. Is it in lines? And wow, that was I think the biggest challenge of this projects. And I have to give credit to the shop fitters called Crown Shop Fitting. They really put in a good hard work into this, and they didn't complain. In fact, they really take pride of the job when they finish. We all really happy. The clients are really happy to see this done. And also, this project landed us a design award too. So we're very pleased, with the outcome of these projects.
Many, many congratulations on the award, first of all. Amazing. So, even if you're talking about this project, so I can't miss the context about that project, that with the prime location near the Flinders Street station and the high foot traffic of the Swanson Street. So, capturing the attention, it is a very fleeting moment, and it must be a very key challenge for you when you were designing this project. So, what were the most effective design strategies that you had implemented to make the storefront look very visually compelling and immediately engaging to the people who want to visit?
Mhm. Yeah, just a few elements that we adopt, not rocket science. Lighting is definitely really crucial. Enough lighting with the shop front is really crucial. And we like to use a lot of warm feeling, the simple elements, just like a lot of Japanese design, is go back to the basic. Simple is always the best. So we use the teak wood, as you see, framing the shop front. One huge draw card is, from far it's visually stunning. Definitely you can see the brand, the materials, the contrast, the black color and the teak wood. But to address those people walk past the shop front, we have a huge logo of the sushi hub. And from there, actually, the graphic designer take part in the brainstorming as well. So I'm not going to take credit on this. I need to give credit to the graphic designer Sesh. Came up with the idea, okay, why not, we have that shop front where there's a huge logo there, and then we have the clear glass that shows the logo, and then where there's a clear glass, we filled it with a lot of small Japanese fish sauce, just tiny little fish sauce there. We filled like literally thousands of them, literally filled it all up. I'll tell you a funny story. After a few months, we realized that the fish start to drop, and then we say, "How come is it someone's taken the fish out from the tank or something?" And we realized that actually there's a settlement. The fish sauce actually dropped because they started to compact. So initially, when we first fill it up, it's like as if it's a fish tank, but inside, instead of fish, it's the fish sauce, all the small fish sauce, and then it settle, and then it drop a bit lower. But I think people, when they walk past, they're amazed with the details. So they see all the fish sauce inside behind the glass, behind the logo in the glass. So that was pretty catchy for a lot of kids. They walk past, they look at it. Even kids, they're not very tall, but they can see that details too. So I think it has that really visual impact, and not missing the details. So yeah. So we're very happy with the result.
So, Vincent, talking about the firm's commitment to the innovative design that suits your each project type's context. So, how does your studio approach sustainability as it's one of the talk of the town in architecture industry right now, and the environmental considerations when you're talking about the architectural solutions to different type of projects that you do?
Yeah, definitely. It is something that's very close to our heart in terms of sustainability and environmental consideration. I take Wurara as an example. It is a farmhouse, so a lot of materials are locally sourced from the local timber yard, from the local hardware stores. One thing is about things that what we do, we not going to use something that from overseas far, far away, but something locally sourced. The other thing is because it's locations, the sewer, we have it locally processed, meaning that it's not going to connect to the sewer systems that pump it back to the treating plant. No, that the waste, the sewer waste actually being processed and they use it for the farming too. So it's absolutely sustainable in terms of, the recycling part of it. And also, in terms of the environmental consideration, the location of the climate actually changed drastically, especially in the winter time. It can be really cold, or in the summer, it's really hot. So the suitable insulations, high level, actually we specify high level of, we call it insulation specification, is a lot higher than what the government require. The only challenge we have, if you look at the design, is we have big glasses, huge glasses that overlooking the farm is the ones that actually to be honest, we fail we call it local ESD requirements. However, what we did was we compensate that the large glass areas trading to other area like recycled water. We have a recycled water tank and solar panels. There's heaps of solar panels for this job. So that compensates. So we have a lot higher energy rating for this house.
The Aurora house. So design of this project really mesmerizes me, and I want to talk about it, how it's aimed to transform a very traditional farmhouse into a very contemporary lifestyle retreat while preserving its inherent character. So what were the key challenges in striking this balance, and how did you ensure that the modern interventions complemented rather than overshadowed the original house standard?
Yeah. Okay. Now, for those readers, they can Google this address. This address is not there actually because confidentiality, we cannot show the exact location of this house. But when the customer bought this house, it was a rural homestead traditional farmhouse. And I still remember the first time the customer bought me there. They just bought the place and the original house have a new kitchen. And I'm saying, what do you want to do? The client hasn't communicated his full vision to me. And little do I know is that actually he has a huge vision in transforming the place. And then he told me is that this too dark, too enclosed. It's just not inviting. This farmhouse has like I think it's about 20 over 20 rooms. So there are two wings. So what we did was we have to transform the existing main part of the house, but there's another part, if you are looking from the barn house at the new wings on facing the view at the right hand side, we kept it. That part was original. And we just refresh inside and kept the original. So what I told the customer was that for the new main house, I want to capture the magnificent farm view so that every rooms, when you look out, even including the bathroom, if you look at one of the photos, you can take a bath in the bathroom. You can still enjoy the view because this is the own house and you can sitting in the bathtub and overlooking the farmland. It's absolutely stunning. And I'm so glad that the customer actually let me to have these ideas because the bathroom is all glass. Obviously, there's a curtain. If they want to close it, they can. But they're absolutely loving it, for such a bold ideas, how we can transform this. Now, one more thing is that we added, we worked with the landscape designer, which I had to give credit to the landscape designer. We create initially we want to have a swimming pool, but because of our budget, that didn't manage to do. So we turn it into another ideas of a shallow pond, just like really this much of the water is about maybe 100 mil. The reason why we're doing this in front of the house is to bring the reflection. So when you look at the house, that you can see the double vision reflected on the water. And that create a really stunning view to the house. The ideas of, as I mentioned at the beginning of this interview, the farmhouse, the modern day farmhouse typologies, we have reinterpreted into, we call it barn house concept. So with the hill arches, it's like traditional farm warehouse. The shape, the structure is there, but it's a view framing the view of the farmland. The client's absolutely loving this concept.
So, Vincent, as you just mentioned, that client was one of the major and important aspect whenever you were designing a project. So, in this project, the Vurvura House, you integrated very major passive design principles, including the strategic orientation, shading devices, or talking about the basic natural materials. So, how did you balance the client's vision for a very high-end lifestyle property with sustainability goals? And what lessons that you have taken from this project that you wish that you could apply to the future residential projects that you will work on?
Yeah, I think this is absolutely achievable. Often, people find that luxury homes, and sustainability goal, where do they mix? In fact, I think these two concepts can sit perfectly fine with each other. Now, in terms of internal finishes, you can go as luxury as you want. In fact, the furniture they have is they carefully created and selected from some well-known furniture designer. As for sustainability goals, as mentioned, the place has scored really high energy ratings. The sewer facilities has been treated locally. It wasn't transported, and piped to somewhere else, to treatment plants. So everything is done locally, which is absolutely sustainable. So the lessons, what we learn from these projects is to be upfront. Being an architect, I encourage you to be upfront, to bring out your ideas to discuss with the customers at the very early days, if you can. I think most of the customers at this level, they do respect architects, and they are happy to work with architects. And so long all these things, all these sustainability goals within the budget, they're happy to jump on board, with us. So we didn't have much issues, with the customer in this aspect.
So, Vincent, as much as I love having this conversation, this is the last question for the day. So, reflecting on your journey from founding your studio in 2004 to leading a very multi-award winning firm, and many congratulations again for that. So, what key lessons have you learned about balancing the client expectations that go cohesive in hand with the architectural integrity of your studio?
This is thank you so much. I think we also, I'm so fortunate to run the office for 20 years. So I myself have over 35 years of experience in this industry, and this is not an easy. The industry is full of challenges as well, but loving it in the fact that you can be so creative, not just in design, but also problem solving. So I think the ideas of not fixing the ideas of just using design is the only goal for as an architect. I look at things, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is the holistics. And what's the meaning of holistic is like clients have certain expectations. And that's where we come in. Often I mention to my team members is that be bold and to voice out what is a concern and what do you think is right. We told our teams that we are not a pleaser. I'm sure people can be quite common in the industry that we call a yes man. When customer come in, oh yeah, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. Not necessarily, we have to do this, but in certain areas that, our job is to take it on board, the integrity part, there's something probably not right, we had to bring it up to discuss with the customer. For example, I'll give you very simple examples. Clients love a type of mirror for the bathroom, and we were doing the documentation. And when we are checking the drawings, and we feel like, hey, hold on, the mirror that the customer choose probably too small. It's not going to work. So we had to take it on board with the customer. Hey, that's not working. Sometimes, it is not easy to certain things convince the customer, because for personal homes, some customers, they have very strong ideas of what they want to achieve and what do they do, what do they want. Because at the end of the day, I don't live in the house. They are the one living in the house. It's always arguments that how much they take on board of our design and whether they do agree and like the taste and the styles that we propose. It's always not easy. It's always coming back from how you can bring them on board with you. So yeah, so in terms of the balance between customers' expectation and architectural integrities, I can tell you it's constant battle. But one thing I think what I learned in life is like, as an architect, I need to learn how to do negotiations. How do we present ourselves? How do we to be a strong communicators? How can we have a lot of patience? How can we have a love and care to the customers? Sometimes they say, "Oh, how come they don't listen to you? What the idiots!" I'm sure that that resonates to a lot of designers. I'm sure.
Yes.
But you know what? It's part of life. So we, as an architects, we had to embrace it. That we have a bad days, we have a good days too. That's part of what we do. And so what I can say, in the past 35 years, we learned a lot. We're not giving up, but we continue to progress and we want to do even better. So one good thing about winning design award is it is a testimonial to the customers, the level of design standard we can achieve for them. And I think that would be easier for us to convince them with all this award that we won.
Amazing. Vincent, if it's okay, can I ask you one question off the table, just a personal question?
That's fine. My age, is it? My bank account details?
No, I'm not going to ask your age. So, as an architect myself, I know that, of course, architecture journey, when you start, it's a very tough decision to make and a very tough journey. So, you've been an experience in this field for about 25 years. So, how did you stay inspired? Like, I can see passion in your eyes about architecture still after 25 years.
35 years.
How did you stay inspired and how did you went along with all the challenges that you faced in this industry? I really want to know.
Very good questions. I think, can I share with you very honestly? In our industry, it's like a bit like pyramid.
Yes.
Meaning that, when you first started, maybe, I don't know, 150 students in architecture school first year.
Yes.
By the time you finish, I tell you that by the time we finish, we have only 65 students.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once they finish school, probably they drop out another 10, 20%, 10, 15%, not going to practice. Some of my friends hated it so much that I'm not going to be an architect. I'm doing this for my parents. It
Yeah.
happens. It happens.
Okay.
And then some become architectural rep. They may not like design, they may want to do something else. Some become a builder. We have some become a jazz person. They all going separate way in different ways. People, by the time, people practice for 10, 20 years, you're getting less and less, let alone 35 years. Let alone 35 years. And then still maintain the passion. Now, to say that I have the passion every day is the same, I'm lying to you. No, it's not going to happen. But one thing is, I think sometimes I look at some of my friends, I have friends that they change career path. I know architects that become a financial investor. And then some become developer. Yeah, architect become developer, architect become builders. So I think one thing is you have to find your path. I think architect is just a stepping stone in someone's life journey. So I suggest people don't be too upset if you cannot be an architect for life. I think I'm very fortunate that I'm still loving what I'm doing and I'm still practicing. But I'm not judging people who is not doing it, which is fine, absolutely fine. Because as I mentioned, you need to find your path. You need to find who belongs to you, what is your identity, and what do you really want to do. So sometimes, all these things, people will say, what are you passionate about, right? But I think sometimes people have to aware these sort of questions, because today you may be passionate. What about tomorrow? What
Yeah.
about next year? What about 5 years? Are you still passionate? So does it mean that one day you're not passionate? You woke up just like any other industry. Our friends are in IT, in other industry. So to be honest, do they passionate about what they're doing every day? Not really. Not really. So I think it is, for me, I think part of my character, I more tend to be stable in the sense that, I don't mind to embrace change, but not like totally uprooted and do something else. Not the kind of change. I embrace change in the context of improvement. So when I say change, I like to improve things, because we're being architects, we are always pretty much innovative and clever about how to do things better, but not suddenly change something else into, oh, I want to be a financial broker. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. So like, for example, I did some development projects too. I try to do some development projects to get some experience, to make some money too. So to maintain the passions, I at the stage, just share with you what I'm doing now. I'm at the stage that I'm doing a lot more educations. That's why I'm happy to be on podcasts, seminar, to share my journey with people, like for people listener like you guys, or general public.
Yeah.
At this stage, I like to be educator of design, a strong advocacy, and smart design. So that is my journey. And also, I'm doing a lot of mentoring of young architects, like people like you. I've mentor every year. I do mentor a lot of young architects, including people in my office or people outside my office, throughout the Institute of Architects. So, it's not just taking in our profession. I'm at the stage that I want to give out what I learned to the younger generations, so that the legacies can pass on. Because where we learn what we have learned, I'm sure we can inspire a lot of young architects can continue in their journey. Does it make sense to you?
It did, Vincent. It really did. So yeah. So this was the last question for the day, Vincent, and thank you so much for giving your precious time. It was a pleasure to have you here, and don't forget to sign up to the Fublis website. Thank you so much, Vincent.